Grimm's Fairy Tales, retold in one-syllable words, by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. Chapter 8. The Frog Prince. In old times, when folks had but to wish for things to get them, there lived a king who had 3 fair girls. Close by the king's castle lay a dark wood, where there was a deep well or spring. One hot day the youngest girl went to the wood and sat down by the cool well. When she was tired of sitting still, she took out a ball of gold, which was one of her toys, and began to toss it up in the air and catch it. But one time that she tossed it up, she missed it, and it rolled into the well. She felt so bad that she wept, but in the midst of her weeping she heard a voice say, "Why do you weep, princess? Your tears would melt a heart of stone." She saw that it was a frog that spoke, and she said, "Oh, is that you, Mr. Frog? I weep for my gold ball, which fell into this well."
"Do not weep," said the frog. "I can bring up your ball, but what will you give me if I do so?"
"Just what you wish," she said. "My gowns, my pearls, or my gold crown."
"I don't care for these things," said the frog. "But if you will love me, and let me sit at meals with you, and eat from your plate, and drink from your cup, and put me to sleep in your silken bed, I will bring it up for you."
"Oh, yes," she said. "I will do all you ask." So the frog sank out of sight into the well, and soon came up with the ball in his mouth, and threw it onto the grass. The princess was so full of joy to see it that she snatched it up and ran off with it.
"Wait, wait," cried the frog. "Take me with you. I can't run as fast as you."
But it was no use, for croak as he might, she would not wait, but made haste home, and soon put the poor frog quite out of her mind. The next day, when she sat down to eat with the king and his court, a knock was heard at the door, and a voice cried, "Princess, let me in." At this she ran to the door to see who was there, and when she opened it, she saw the frog. She turned pale, and shut the door, and went back to her seat. The king saw that she was in a fright, and said, "My child, what ails you? Who is at the door?" "It is a frog," she said. "What does a frog want of you?" The princess had to tell the king what the frog had done for her. "You must keep your word," said the king. "Go to the door and let the frog in." So she let the frog in, and he hopped straight into her chair, and said, "Lift me up by you." When she had done this, he ate from her plate and drank from her cup, to her great disgust. Then the frog said he was tired, and asked the princess to put him to sleep in her own silken bed. Then she cried, for she did not wish to put the cold, wet frog in her neat bed, but the king told her she must. She took him upstairs and set him on the floor, but when he still said she must put him in her bed, she was in such a rage that she seized the frog and flung him at the wall. "Now be still, you horrid frog," she said. But as he fell to the floor, he was no more a frog, but a handsome young prince. He told the princess that he had been changed into a frog by a witch, and no one could set him free but herself. At the wish of the king, the prince stayed at the castle. Of course, he and the princess fell in love with each other at once, and before long they were married. End of chapter 8. The Frog Prince.